It's the best of One Mic.
All I need is one mic.
What's the name of the show?
One Mic with Big Mike.
You know, ain't nobody getting hurt, ain't nobody, there's no crime being committed.
And they say his style is too urban for the radio.
This is real life stuff that's happened to me.
Well, you know what?
You, and you.
One Mic with Big Mike.
I like to be able to do what I want to do.
A sports talk show, but no subject matter is off limits.
Meek Mill's concert is not called the Hell Yeah, I Banged Khloe Kardashian concert.
And now, your host.
Put your hands together for the one, the only
Big Mike.
All I need is one mic.
This is One Mic with Big Mike, the Thursday evening edition, Throwback Thursday. And a special shout out to NWA, man. NWA getting into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Why don't we change that? Like, why don't we just call it the, I don't know, if it's just American music, probably not because the Beatles are in there. Why don't we just call it the Music Hall of Fame? That way, people who are into classical music or jazz or opera, they can be inducted too. Or maybe they are, which would make it even more stupid to continue to call it the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. You know what I mean? Like, let's progress with time. If NWA and Public Enemy are in the Hall of Fame, the rock and roll element is gone. Like, maybe you can get me like Run DMC's in there because they had Walk This Way, but inevitably no. You know what I mean? They're a hip hop group. They're a rap group. You know, the same thing goes for Public Enemy, and the same thing goes for now NWA. And I don't know how many other rap groups are in the quote unquote Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but yeah, let's do that. And while you at it, call the NAACP as well. Call them and have them, follow the same path to the future, or to not even the future, to the present. I don't know. I'm not gonna get off on that whole situation. I didn't know how or what I was going to talk about today. I know I needed to do a show, and so I'm reading, trying to figure out. All right, I'm gonna talk to Steve Silver today. And that's going to generate some content. But before I do that, because I still got, 17 minutes before I get him on the line, I saw something that was hilarious to me today. And it might not be hilarious to anyone else, but guess who doesn't care? Yeah, this guy. Apparently, yesterday, I'm assuming it was yesterday, Gilbet Arenas, former NBA All-Star, Agent Zero, Gilbet Arenas got a whole. Who did he get all that money from? Orlando or Washington? But he got paid. He got broke off, And Gilbert Arenas was a bad man, and then the injuries caught up with him. The beginning of his career, he didn't get much playing time, but when he finally did, he proved himself to be a hell of an NBA scorer. But then, injuries caught up with him. He ended up bringing a gun to practice, and him and some dude in the locker room. I think it was Tavares Crittenton, or Javaris Crittenton, whatever his name is, the dumbass kid that killed that lady. Case of mistaken identity, took two kids' mother away from them because he wanted to be a dumbass and still be in the streets and be hard when you're a millionaire basketball player. Cool, he'll be in jail for life. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, in case you're wondering. But yeah, Gilbet Arenas. He posted a video, and it's on my Facebook page, of course, facebook.com/ONEMICWITHBIGMIKE. You know what I need to check on? To make sure that's the right address to the page and not to my personal profile. That'll be done here today. And if I've been giving you guys the wrong address for the whole time I've been doing the show, my bad. So anyway, he finds this video of these fitness models playing basketball, and they're scantily clad. They don't really they got on like these little, I don't know, maybe bikini bottoms and sports bras, presumably, I guess. And then he goes on to the comment beside it says, "Now this is what America was hoping for when they announced the WNBA back in 1996. Not a bunch of chicks running around looking like cast members of hashtag Orange is the New Black." He goes on to say, "Don't get me wrong. They have a few cutie pies, but there's a whole lot of bean pies running around." End quote. Look, I don't watch girls sports, women's sports. I don't. Very few. And I'm gonna keep it real with you. Like the ones I do, there's a reason like one day when the Olympics was happening, what is that? The Winter Olympics, right? With indoor volleyball. I flipped to the channel, it was on, and it was female volleyball, girls volleyball or women's volleyball. I don't know how you necessarily categorize it. And it was the Puerto Rican national team. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, and I do mean ladies and gentlemen because everyone can appreciate this. It was like 12 J-Los, but like they were all 24. You remember 24-year-old J-Lo, 25, yeah. They were all that. And I was like, yeah, you know what I'm about to do? Watch this. I have no idea what's going on. I did realize that they were pretty bad because the match or the game or whatever they call it in volleyball was over quickly, and I was pissed because I was like, damn, it's over. And then I heard the announcer say, that's it for them. They're out. They had to go home. I was like, damn it. I guess it's true. You just can't have everything, man. But yeah, the point being, sometimes it's not really the message. It's the messenger. Like Gilbet Arenas has been involved in some very, shaky situations here in the last couple of months to a year, right? And for this to come out, for him to say all this stuff, and here's the thing, like, why is it, like, people want to take this stuff seriously because that's what we do now in 2015. Anytime somebody opens their mouth and it disagrees with what we believe in, we've got to have an uprising. Someone's got to do something. No, what you do with stuff like that. If it's not funny to you, ignore it. He's one dude, man, and he's not even somebody who you can consider to be prominent. This guy named Brett Easton wrote a piece in the New York Times this week, and I haven't read it yet, but the title of it is Living in the Cult of Likability. This is why no one can agree with anyone. No one can disagree with the masses. Because once you do that, you're not in the cult anymore. You have to say what everybody else expects you to say. Yeah, Gilbert Arenas is an idiot. But you know what? He has a right to be an idiot. You know what I mean? And I think it's hilarious that people are just like, and like he doesn't even stop. He keeps going and says, quote, if you think this is sexist, 9 times out of 10, you the ugly one, and we didn't pay to come see you play anyway. End quote. And I remember having a conversation about this type of stuff with a former WNBA player. I don't know if she still plays. She may, but she attended the University of Georgia, and on one of my previous shows, we had her in studio, and this is not a phone interview. This is a face-to-face conversation I'm having with this young lady, and I told her I don't watch girls sports. You know what I mean? And I think it's more progressive for me not to than the dudes that watch it to see Skylar Diggins, or the dudes that watch it to, like I said earlier, watch the Puerto Rican national basketball or national volleyball team. I bet they got a bad basketball team too, now that I think about it. Yeah. Now that kind of just ran through my mind. But anyway, and she said, yeah, it's not for everybody. Yeah, but I think the work, like I remember I think it was the women's, was it the championship or the Final Four? But Brittany Griner, she played for Baylor, right? And Skylar Diggins, who did Skylar? Notre Dame, right? All right. And I remember one of my former coworkers was asking me, am I gonna watch that game? Are we gonna talk about it on our show? And I was like, no, I'm not. I have no interest in watching. I don't care if it's a championship. I don't have no interest in watching girls basketball, female basketball, women's basketball. It's my choice because you know what I like? I like to see dudes get like major buckets. If there were a female Kevin Durant or female Steph Curry, I'd be all about that life. But there's not. A lot of bounce passes and layups. And the dunks they're like 13-year-old boy dunks. Not saying they look like 13-year-old boy, but the ones where you can just barely get it over the rim just to say you dunked it. Yeah, I'm kind of good on that. I can live without. So anyway, we're talking, and I tell her, I'm talking to one of my coworkers. He's like, "Man, you're not gonna watch it." It's almost like it's the typical Beauty and the Beast. I was like, "See, no one. If I'm a female basketball player, I don't want you watching for that. That's ridiculous. But so many people, and this is part of what Gilbert Arenas is saying. Like the overall tenor of what he's saying is very stupid. But if we could be for real and not live in that cult of likability, it's a lot of people feel that way. You know what I mean? Now there are counter arguments to that. Let me finish telling you about what Gilbert says. He goes on to say, quote, hashtag basketball chicks has some of the best bodies in women's sports. Hashtag lesbians or hashtag straight. We can give two craps. He didn't say craps, but two S's about what they prefer in the bedroom because men prefer hashtag ass and T's. You know, breasticles. And last time I checked, there's 20 total T's and 10 asses running around, but for some odd reason, we're not getting it. Well, I guess this is what we're getting. He put what we're getting. What we're getting is hashtag tats, hashtag dreads, hashtag high socks, hashtag baggy shorts, hashtag elbow pads. Sounds like men attire to me. This sport will continue to be less viewed and underpaid compared to other female sports. End quote. See, again, he'll like put in like little bitty like factoids that's real stuff. Like the WNBA is a money trash can for the NBA. It makes no money. You know what I mean? This is why, like I saw the other day, I guess now there was a proposal a few years ago for NBA players to wear, or was it NFL? One major men's sport to have advertising on the jerseys. I think it was the NBA. But this actually is a thing in the WNBA. These women are walking billboards because they got to try to create revenue in any way possible. The game, people don't come to the games. All this just girl power stuff. We're here for the girls and show girls they can play sports too. Very few, very few. The attendance at the games are terrible. The TV money, I don't know, is terrible as well. Gilbert goes on to say, quote, there's a reason 7 out of the 10 highest paid women athletes come from tennis, hashtag skirts, hashtag ass. If the hashtag NBA got rid of the thug image, it's not imagine, the thug image for global viewing, shouldn't, in big bold letters, you, question mark. I don't care if you don't like the truth because men don't want to watch women act like men. If they came out with an all-gay man sport, what? I bet they will wear less clothes than the WNBA. And that's a hashtag capital FACT. And then he puts the LOL on. Like, this is a dude who knows exactly what he's doing. He's being a total ridiculous jerk. Now give us what we want and unveil them bodies. Sexiness runs the world, end quote. Of course, he got backlash. One of the Chicago Sky players, the MVP of the league, Elena Del Don, said, quote, women are not put on this earth just for men to look at. We are people. We have a purpose. We are role models. I am an athlete first and foremost, end quote. I would think she would say I'm a woman first and foremost. I'm a person first and foremost. You're not really an athlete first and foremost, but I get the gist. Ivory Latta, if I'm saying that wrong, forgive me. She's a 2-time All-Star point guard with the Washington Mystics. She says that Gilbert Arenas is desperate to remain in the limelight. Well, he's doing a good job of it. He's doing that. She says she tweets, I should say, quote, he clearly wants y'all attention. So y'all please entertain that bean pie looking dude. He's not even worth our time. Well, too bad. You just gave it to him. Like, this is my thing. If it's that offensive and you're just ignore it. If it doesn't have any bearing on your life, either laugh at it or keep it moving. You feel me? I don't, I think he knows exactly what he was doing. He was being a jerk and being stupid. And everybody just kind of like, jumped into the pool with him. Nah. Keep that thing moving, man. And to counter his argument, though, I just gave you guys an instance of myself with volleyball. When we were in college, we used to go to all the girls' volleyball games. 'Cause have you seen volleyball shorts? All right, just saying. But that sport is, I would assume they don't just play it every 4 years. I'm gonna assume that they play it, even beach volleyball for women and men, whatever. I'm assuming they play those sports like a regular season, like how basketball and baseball and football play seasons, right? But what do you know? They're not raking in the dough. You know what I mean? There's this thing called lingerie football. Anybody putting that on it? Oh, well, probably some of you pervs are, but like any just normal sports fan putting that on the old DVR, doing, fantasy. Well, see, I was going to say fantasy lingerie football, but yeah, some of you dudes are straight pervs, and I'm going to assume that, yeah, it's part of your deal, but just regular people, regular guys, regular girls, they're not selling out $85,000 people stadiums. So the whole idea of just put women in partially nude attire is going to bring people out to the game. No. I just told you the reason I don't watch girls basketball, because it's way too different than what I get to see like tonight when I see Russell Westbrook and LeBron on the same court with Kevin Durant. You know what I mean? It's going to be way different. So I can't really, my mind won't adjust in that way. Like I thought it was cool at the beginning. They had Cheryl Swoops and Lisa Leslie and what was the other girl's name? Cynthia Thompson was her name, that played for the Houston team. I thought all that was cool, but then the novelty wore off. And you realize, yeah, this is not really doing it for me. I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next real quick. There's been arguments made about the WNBA just needing to disband, because a lot of those girls, they don't make any money here. Going back to my conversation with Keisha Brown, they go overseas and make their money. And by the way, overseas, if Gilbert wants to see this, apparently that's how they get down overseas. The girls have to wear like tight stuff, like those tight, like volleyball type things. And I remember saying to her, it was like, well, maybe I'll give that a second look. And then she made the point to me, it was like, yeah, but guess what? All them chicks ain't built like me. Like, she's a slim chick, slim, athletically built chick. And she was like, all them chicks ain't built like me. So you start stuffing stuff in the spandex, it get real ugly real quick. This is a woman who's actually plays the sport in the same type of attire that Gilbet Arenas is talking about, saying the same thing he's saying, right? Now, we didn't have a national show or anything like that at the time, but it goes to the point that he's making that, accentuate what you got. Like Ronda Rousey, she's a badass, right? Even though she may have lost, she's a badass. But you know what she does? She capitalizes on her sexuality, and it's not her. There were female ultimate fighters before her that did the same exact thing, capitalized on the beauty. Serena Williams, for whatever people, like, if you're a dude that says Serena Williams is built like a man, you just like men, I guess. You know what I mean? By the way, Gilbert Arenas says, for a dude, if any dude doesn't agree with everything he's saying, that you're gay. So yeah, he took it like the third grade. Well, you're gay, He's a ridiculous human being, but I found the entertainment value in it that I need.
It's the best of One Mic with Big Mike.
Oh, it's good.
Ladies and gentlemen, he is actor, comedian, St. Louis's finest, Mr. Guy Torry. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
What's going on, brother? Long time, man. How you doing?
I know, man. Long time. You got to have me on more often, man.
You right.
I know my stuff.
But look, just the thing, though. Like, we're not doing the same show we were doing. Like, it was a tandem show, and now I'm doing my own thing because, they don't let you say nothing. They don't let you say what you want to say when you're doing it for the man. You understand? So
if that's more reason to have me on, man.
You're right. But I just got this started up this month, or last month now, November. So I just got my own thing started up this month, and of course, it got to have you on more, man.
That's dope. Congrats.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Let's start. First of all, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you follow Guy Torry on Twitter and Instagram at Guy Torry. His Instagram is what's your Instagram, brother?
It's both the same. GUYTORRY, Guy Torry.
And Facebook, Guy Torry Live. right?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Just so happened, got you on today. Today is the birthday of one of the greatest to ever do it. Richard Pryor was born on this particular day.
Absolutely.
You got any Richard Pryor stories, man? Any inspirational
I do,
stuff?
Man. You know, it's funny, man. I have a few Richard Pryor stories, man. The first one is when I first moved to L.A. and started doing stand-up, man. You know, you're trying to learn your way, trying to find your way. You study the greats, things like that. And I was on my way to a gig, man, and Richard Pryor said this joke that was so, like, I don't know, exposed himself or he left himself so vulnerable that it changed. It was an epiphany for me. He had this joke about this girl was so fine that her daddy's so-and-so, he would, you know, go down on her daddy, basically.
Yo.
And when he said that, like, he didn't care if people thought he was, you know, on the other team or whatever. He did that for the sake of a joke. And I was like, man, I gotta not be concerned about what people think of me and just go for the joke. And then the other Richard Pryor story, man, is just the fact that the most nervous I've ever been on stage is when he came to see me, man. I did my show at Fat Tuesday at the Comedy Store, and Richard Pryor used to come down there a lot, man. And like the first time he came, I was nervous, man. And like so many comics, man, thanked me for doing Fat Tuesday because it was a room that hit the urban comics, man, in Hollywood. We didn't get a chance to really, you know, perform in a lot of those places, you know, were a big name. But a lot of them performed for Richard Pryor, man. A couple of them got called over and said, Richard Pryor said, hey, funny. And that made their career. So Richard Pryor, man, was that guy that if he called you over and said you were funny, yeah, he made you good.
Wow. Now, a while ago, it may have been a couple of years now, there was a rumor, well, I guess now it's a rumor because it didn't happen, but that Mike Epps was going to play Richard Pryor in the story of his life, and it never materialized. You're out there in L.A., you know, I'm sure you're pretty connected. Have you heard anything about that project?
Well, you know, that project would change hands a lot of times, man. And you know, Richard Pryor, Damon Wayans was slated to do it at one point, Eddie Murphy. Then they had Marlon Wayans. He started doing stand-up, and Marlon Wayans didn't do stand-up. Sean did it, you know, Keenan did it, and Damon did it. But Marlon wasn't a stand-up until he was told he was going to do the Richard Pryor role, and then he started doing stand-up. Now he's still doing stand-up. Now Mike Epps came into the picture. So Mike Epps was in the picture, then he was out the picture, now he's back in the picture. And I feel, you know, I don't think you can lose either one. I mean, Marlon Wayans is definitely a hell of a comedic actor, and I've seen some of his dramatic work too, so he can definitely pull that off. And Mike Epps is a dark soul, man, and he's funny, so he can pull it off too. So I'm like, man, it's a toss-up. They're both my homies. So it's like, man, you know, either one who can play that role, man, I just want to see it done. I know both of them are doing an incredible job with it, man. So I just want to see it done.
Absolutely.
And out of my generation of comics, man, this old Def Jam era, you know, Mike Epps is the closest one to Richard Pryor in terms of funniness and darkness and storytelling and just, you know, even the look. So, you know, either one, you can do the role. I saw a screen test that Marlon Wayans did, and it was incredible. So you can't lose with either one.
Yeah, I myself have been waiting for that for a while, man. I don't know how many people even know that it's supposed to come out, but I was very excited when I heard Mike Epps was the guy who was slated to do it. Let's get back to the comedy stuff in a second here, because I don't want to run out of time, because a lot of people might not know you're a huge Lakers fan. You may be from St. Louis.
Big Lakers fan.
You're a huge Lakers fan. And this week, the greatest, the GOAT.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to ask you, is he the greatest Laker? Is Kobe Bryant the greatest Laker?
Magic Johnson will always be the greatest Laker. LA always be Magic Johnson.
We're on the same page
Kobe, and I say it because the reason why I'm a Lakers fan because of Magic Johnson. You know what I'm saying? And then, you know, you got so many Laker greats, man, but Magic Johnson is definitely the greatest Laker of all time, man. And Kobe, what he did for his team, what he did for the franchise, and him in the city, man, along with Shaq, and then when Shaq left, he carried the torch on, man. So, you know, Kobe is up there too, man. But, you know, Shaq brought in a new era, you know, of winning with the Lakers as well, man. So, I mean, to me, it's almost a tie between Shaq and Kobe, man, as far as after Magic Johnson. And we can't forget the captain, you know, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Absolutely.
So, you know, he's really right after Magic too, because, you know, we had to rely on him as well.
Talking right now with Guy Torry, comedian and actor. Make sure you guys follow him like I do on Twitter and Instagram at GUYTORRY, and on Facebook, Guy Torry Live. We're going to talk to him about his latest thing, doing it tonight, Apollo Night LA. Am I right?
No, tonight is Fat Tuesdays, man.
Fat
Tuesdays
Tuesdays.
is going on tonight. It's the night I started 20 years ago, man, to help, comedians who weren't, privy to going to the All-Star Comedy Clubs in Hollywood on Sunset. So I started this night at the Comedy Store 20 years ago, and black comedians all over have benefited from it, man. And the people in L.A. have come out and supported it. People around the country have come out and supported it. And tonight, I'm doing the last show of the year, Club Nokia. There's still a few tickets left, VIP tickets left. We got some Indiana Patriots coming out tonight to the show tonight. We got some all-star comedians on the show. Gary Oakley. We got our man Lil Rel from Chicago who's on the NBC show. Got me hosting the show. But it's all at Club Nokia going on at 8 o'clock, man. Doors open at 7. It's a pre-party where you can come on, get the drink on, get a happy hour special. And then the food party. The food party starts at 8 o'clock. That goes on to 10. And then so we got the pre-party, the food party, and the after party all at Club Nokia for one price. LA Live.
Yeah, that sounds like it's gonna be deep. Bruh's here, drink and food. Yeah, the Bruh's gonna definitely be there for that.
And fellas, we got ladies, and ladies, we got fellas. So it's one good. It's a hell of a time.
Done deal. When did you know? When did you know that Kobe Bryant was gonna be special? Because a lot of people don't remember. He didn't come into the league like LeBron came in. First game, triple double. You know what I mean? Kobe had to buy his time a little bit with Nick Van Exel and Eddie Jones and those boys out there, and Rick Fox. He had to buy his time a little bit before he became the Black Mamba. But when did you know that dude was going to be this dude?
I think he became that dude, man, when doing that championship run and Shaq fouled out and Kobe took over and was cool, calm, and collected. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He took over, and because Shaq had fouled out and he sealed the deal for us for the game, it was like, okay, I got this big fella. And then again, he showed us again when he went to the unfortunate, incidents in Colorado, going through the whole trial thing, and he still put up great career numbers during that whole stretch.
Yeah, that dude
on the court.
That dude was coming back off a helicopter scoring 50 on people.
Exactly.
No
man.
shoot around.
You knew right then he had that, and plus when Jordan kind of gave him the nod, man, at the same time. So, Jordan may not be a great GM, but he knows talent when it comes to on the court, man.
Yeah.
So, Kobe's a special guy, man.
They got to retire a Kobe Bryant jersey. Which one do they retire? The 24 or the 8?
You know what? I had the discussion yesterday, man. I think they should retire both of them.
Me too.
One jersey, 8 on one side, 24 with a slash, or 24 on the other side of the slash. You got to do both, man, because he won 3 with number 8. He did incredible things with number 24. So why not? First in history to have 2 numbers retired. They retired 23 and 45 for Jordan. But Kobe Bryant should get number 8 and 24 definitely retired.
Yeah, you damn right. That's the most boss player move of all time. You got one dude,
now,
2 jerseys.
Another question. Another question though. When they put the statue up, what number they put?
Oh.
Did they put number 8 on his back and then have him holding another 24 jersey? I think that'd be a pretty cool statue if he got an 8 jersey on and then he holds number 8.
Yeah.
Number 24.
That's gonna be a tricky one. The statue's gonna be a tricky. I didn't even think about that.
Statue is a tricky one.
Damn. Earlier this week, Kevin Durant, who's become a very sensitive young man when it comes to being covered by the media, he says that the media has been mean to Kobe Bryant because of they are.
Absolutely, man. People took shots, man, at Kobe, man. You see this guy, you kicking a man while he's down. You know what I'm saying? You see what he went through. You see what he played through, man, and all the injuries. He still wowed you, He still wowed you and all that good stuff, man. And basically you're like, are you kidding me? You're going to kick him while he's down? But that's just, but writers have to have something to write about.
Yeah.
That's their job. You're a journalist. So if you go with what's popular, then you're riding. You got to be controversial.
It's One Mic with Big Mike, speaking right now to actor comedian Guy Torry about his beloved Lakers. Do this for me. Rank the 4 California NBA teams, 1 through 4.
Wow, California NBA team.
Yeah.
You got to go with Golden State number 1.
Okay.
Of course. And then you got to go with Clippers number 2.
All right.
And then you know what? If you go by record, man, you got to go with Sacramento 4, and we got and 3, and then us Gotta be unfortunately poor, man.
Dog, did you ever feel like at any time in your life you would ever say that? You would ever say
No,
that the Lakers are the
absolutely
worst
not.
NBA team in the state of California?
Absolutely not. But you know what, man? We got an organization, man, that hopefully Jeannie will get it together, man, and Jim will step back, man, maybe, and then we'll right this ship, man. I'm not worried about it. We'll right this ship.
There's some young talent out there now. The Russell kid, Julius Randle. Well, you got to do it.
I love our roster, man.
The Roy, you love it. Roy Hibbert, you love that.
Yeah, I like Hibbert, man. I ain't gonna front, man. Hibbert. I mean, you know, I'm personal because I know him, so you know, I like him.
Okay.
So,
All right.
I mean, I do, man. I ain't gonna lie, man. I mean, I like Roy, man. I mean, you know what may happen though, with Kobe stepping down, man, like this, right? With Kobe stepping down like this, and KD, you know, coming up. KD may talk Kobe in. I mean,
You thinking Kobe may talk Kevin Durant into coming out to L.A. That's Guy Torry, comedian, actor. I think we lost the call for a minute. He must have went through a bad setup. We'll see if we can get him back here in a second because I gotta ask him about this movie that he's going to be in called Happy Hour. He talked a little bit about the Fat Tuesday that he's doing out in L.A. tonight. So if you're listening and you're in the L.A. area, you got people out in the L.A. area, give your people a call, man. Let them know they'll head out there to Fat Tuesday and mess with old Guy Torry, man.
You know, man, I live downtown L.A., man, by the Staples Center, man.
Of course
so,
you do.
Know, I got to keep an eye on my Lakers, man. So the reception downtown isn't the greatest. All these buildings, frame, down here, man.
All right, well, you know what we'll do? We'll go ahead and get you up out of here, man. But I want to go ahead and get through a couple more questions for you that I had. You being a guy from St. Louis, but now taking up residence in L.A., like what are your feelings about the team? The possible move that the St. Louis Rams could not again become the L.A. Rams. You know, you're from St. Louis, but you live in L.A. Are you kind of torn emotionally with that?
I am, man, but you know they hate me in St. Louis right now because being you know an LA resident now, living here for 23 years, man. I grew up and spent half my other life in St. Louis, man. I want the Rams out here, man. I mean, why not? I live out here. I can go to every home game rather than flying to the cold weather. You know, I already travel to most of the West Coast games, so I want the Rams out here, man.
No doubt. Guess that's solved. Tell me about. Well, first, let me ask you this: Are the 76ers going to get their first win tonight against the LA Lakers? Is that going to happen?
Man, I hope not, man.
And Kobe's return to Philly?
Man, I hope Kobe go off tonight, man. I don't want the Sixers to win tonight. Not their first one against us.
See, you're working in that bubble. I call it the bubble, where fans they keep their favorite player in these bubbles, and they never want him to change. Right. Yeah, Kobe's done, man. And I can't watch a Lakers game.
I mean,
I can't, dude.
I mean, it's like I know you see the day coming, but you don't want it to come. It's like your hairline. You know it's gonna go one day. You keep fighting it, but one day your hairline is gone. You just gotta say, you know what, it's over. The same thing with women. They know that boobs gonna sag one day. You know, but they try everything to keep them boobs perky, but they're going to be taking hands with the gut any minute. So that's how it was with Kobe, man. You know it's going to happen. You don't want it to happen. And when it does happen, you just got to say, you know what? It was a good run.
No doubt. It was a hell of a run.
Go, man.
Oh, tell me about this project you got coming out called Happy Hour. Tell us about that.
Happy Hour is a movie I did, man. I shot a summer ago, man. So it should be coming out next year, man. A great piece, man. A young lady in St. Louis wrote it, directed it. She's used to doing plays. This is her first feature, man. So she asked me to come help out. I kind of helped direct it a little bit because it was her first time using cameras and stuff. So I just gave my expertise and what I know from the movies that I've done, man. And, you know, it's going to be a good project.
No doubt, man. A lot of comedians say that their comedy is born out of pain. And you talk about Mike Epps being having a story to him. A lot of people, I don't know if a lot of people know it. I happen to. A friend of mine was friends with, I don't know if it's his current old lady or former, but they were friends, and she told me some things about him in the past. But where does your comedic style come from, or your comedic motivation come from?
You know, at first you start emulating who you admire, you know, and I'm a product of Def Comedy Jam. That's what inspired me to do stand-up. And I started studying the greats like Eddie Murphy, Richard Pryor, and Bill Cosby, and all those guys, man. And after a while, you evolve into who you are, man. and I have a no-filter style now. Being in Hollywood, and as you get older, you don't have a filter anyway. Your filter comes off. So just, I studied my brother, man, of course, being inspired by my brother, Def Comedy Channel era, Martin Lawrence, Chris Rock, all those guys, man. So, that my style is kind of evolved into just, me saying what I want to say when I want to say it, how I want to say it, man. I have no filter now.
I'm glad you mentioned that because in the age and time we live in now, like the PC police is strong. And I wanted to know, like, how difficult is that for a comedian? Because I hear a lot of comedians say there's certain places that they won't even go anymore, like college campuses, because everybody wants to be so politically correct. You can't say this. My theory is this. A joke is a joke. Now, if it's a bad joke, it's a bad joke. But a joke is still a joke.
Funny is funny.
Right. And if it's funny, it's funny. And everybody's so damn offended by every damn thing somebody says. And for somebody in your line of work, like, how do you maneuver around that?
Well, America's getting softer and softer, man. This whole thing with where every kid is a winner, like everybody gets a trophy and all
Ridiculous.
that crap. Everybody trying to be politically correct and all that. I'm totally against all that, man. And I'm just like, you know what? If somebody laughs, somebody laughs. That's all that matters to me. Now I do have my things I stay away from. I don't talk about AIDS. I don't joke about that. I don't joke about cancer, and I don't joke about plus size women. And I don't joke about women, getting sexually abused. Everything else is fair game.
Mm-hmm. Who makes you laugh? Like who make not like the that was funny, but like that gut laugh, that real tears in your eyes laugh. Who does that to you?
Man, you know what? It's just what's ever funny. There's some comedians. There's people who are not comedians who just say stuff that make me laugh. Man, comedy is that straight line that drops off and you don't see it coming. So I mean, I'm of course I get the King's Comedy Tour. So I'm a big fan of definitely Bernie Mac, Steve Harvey, and Cedric the Entertainer, and DL and those guys, man. And then of course, my brother Martin and Eddie Murphy is just, is on a whole other level, man. Because when I did Life with Eddie, man, the stuff that he would improv, the stuff that did make the movie was just as funny or not funnier than the stuff that made the movie, man. Just seeing him take what was on the page and just go and go in another direction with it. And Kevin Hart has that same gift. I've worked with Kevin as an actor before, and I've seen what was on the page, but I see Kevin's choices, and his choices have been like, wow, okay, that was pretty nice. So. I mean, there's a lot of guys, man, that people may not know, but, I'm just a fan of comedy, man, to be honest.
How ridiculous was that damn movie, man? Because I'm talking, it's you, Anthony Anderson, it's Eddie Murphy, it's Martin,
Mac,
Bernie.
It was Martin. It was, man, it was so many funny people on it. Bernie Mac kept everybody in stitches every day on the set.
I can imagine.
Every day.
Jeez, I can imagine. That's like, no lie, that dude is my favorite comedian. I just don't think the world got enough of him, man. You know what I mean? It's like he went way too soon.
It was like Robin Harris.
Yeah.
Right? We weren't ready for either one of them to go. And, and kind of, Robin Harris kind of took Bernie under his wing. So that's why Bernie, was the comic he was, man, because both from Chicago. They both had that style. They both had no filter. And they both, were great storytellers, man. So, I mean, Chicago has produced a lot of great comedians anyway, man. There's a lot of them come out of the D.C. area, Chicago area, of course. Cedric the Entertainer, St. Louis, my brother. So, yeah, the whole Midwest area, man, because what people don't realize, man, comedians are dark. We're dark on the inside. And we tell jokes to lighten up those dark areas. And I heard a great saying one time. I can't remember who said it, but we become comedians because we're so afraid of getting laughed at. We start telling jokes to control the laughter.
Wow. Guy Torry just got deep on us, y'all. Guy Torry just took us there. He's comedian actor Guy Torry, by the way, on Twitter and Instagram at GUYTORRY, and on Facebook at Guy Torry Live. Before I let you go, damn, I just had a brain fart. What the hell just happened? What the hell was I about to say to you, man?
While you think of that, just make sure people get down to LA Live tonight at Club Nokia when the hottest comedy show's ever, Fat Tuesday. Still tickets left. Doors open at 7 o'clock. Shows at 8. Gary Owen, a man from Shaq All-Star, from Think Like a Man 1 and 2 with Kevin Hart. We also got, Dean Hardy, up-and-coming funny comedian touring the country. We got Melanie Tomato, who's, to me, one of the queens of comedy, over to Martin Lawrence, Jamie Foxx, and Chris Tucker. And then we also have, Lil Rel in the house from Chicago. He's on a new MC show called The Carmichael Show. Another funny guy.
That is awesome.
Fellas, last show of the year, so holiday season, come on out.
Lil, is he the dude that plays the brother?
Yeah.
He plays Carmichael's brother, right?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
and his girl is Tiffany Haddish.
Yeah,
who we
yeah,
had on the show
yeah.
last
That dude is that dude is a damn nut. For those of you who
Yeah,
haven't seen the
man.
Carmichael show, you gotta check that out. And you know what I love about that show? It touches issues. Like I told my old lady the other day, I was like,
Well
man,
written.
if this show lasts 3 seasons, I'm gonna be surprised because they're not playing.
Carmichael, I think it's Harold Carmichael was the receiver because I'm in football mode, but it's Gerard Carmichael. Man.
Gerard.
Very funny, man.
Right,
Very
right.
funny. Had a very funny HBO special, man, that he shot at the Comedy Store, man. But young, funny brother, man. Good writer. Great deliver the jokes and turned out to be a pretty good actor as well, man. So it's gonna be a great show tonight, man.
What's the next evolution for Guy Torry? That's what I was gonna ask you.
The documentary, man. I'm shooting a documentary on Fat Tuesday, the night that changed the game, man. From Hood to Hollywood, the untold story, man. It's about a night of young, hungry black comedians, man, who wants their voice heard after the Rodney King verdict.
And my final question for you, and by the way, I'm talking to Guy Torry. He's at Guy Torry on Twitter and Instagram, Guy Torry Live on Facebook. He is an actor and comedian doing this event Fat Tuesday tonight at the Nokia Center. So if you got people out in the L.A. area.
Club Nokia, yeah.
Go ahead. Club Nokia, I'm sorry. Have them go out there and check that out. Damn, I did it again. That sound that you hear, dude, that loud sound and that smell, that's my brain farting, cuz. What the hell was I about to say to you, man? I asked you about the next evolution. Oh, why don't comedies, as we talk about life, why don't comedies get consideration by the Academy?
Why is it? I missed the last part.
The Academy Awards and the Oscars and all that. Why don't comedies get consideration?
You know, comedy is like the low man on the totem pole for some reason, man. Comedy does not get the respect that it should. Even your own spouse, your own wife or girlfriend don't think it's a real job.
Damn.
You know what I mean? When I was married, it was like when I changed, it's like, oh, you going to the club to hang out? No, it's a job. You get on stage in front of thousands or hundreds and try to be funny. So people don't look at it as a real job, but it's a job. It's probably the basics. We have no band and no backup singing. You know, you tell the same joke twice, people want to get mad at you. But if you sing the same song, they want to hear it over and over again.
It's the best of One Mic with Big Mike.
You ain't gonna believe this shit. Check this out.
This is one of the things I think is going to start happening in this country if people don't open their eyes and realize what they're experiencing. Speaking of experiencing, man, I don't know. I didn't get all the details, but I woke up this morning, turned on CNN, and apparently every school, like in a certain district in Southern California, had to be shut down today or canceled because some idiot wanted to call in a bomb threat to all the schools. Like, man, here's the thing. I don't know if this is the answer, but we gotta stop giving these people power, man. These people who are so idiotic that they feel like, you know, that's how they'll get their message across. Or if you're just an idiot and you think it's funny, I don't know, man. These people find out that the person before them becomes infamous / famous, and then they want to start duplicating it and be as stupid and as ignorant as that person, man. And I'm over it, man. I'm the first one to say, look, man, I'm from Decatur, Georgia. I ain't scared of nothing. You understand me? Like, I ain't scared of no damn ISIS and Al Qaeda and all that stuff. Like, the stuff I need to be scared of is right here. Right here. I got to get over that first before I start being scared of some dude that's bastardizing the religion. But you can't tell. Like, there's a sector of this country that feels like, you know, because certain people talk tough, it gives them carte blanche to be as tough. When really, you're not that tough. I tell you what, if I had my gun at this certain time when this bad thing happened, it wouldn't have went down like that. Yeah, it probably would have been worse because you probably would have ended up shooting some people as well. Now, it's one of the, I don't know. Like, I'm seeing people become emboldened because of things that they're hearing from a particular presidential candidate. Sorry, I was trying to tweet real quick. But anyway, on yesterday, a story came out in regards to the University of Missouri. And Missouri as a state. Missouri is a state, right? Yeah, Kansas City, Missouri. Right. All right. So this cat named, give me a second, let me find out. Let me scroll. One of the state representatives is trying to pass a bill now. And his name, Jesus Christ, where the hell is it? Oh, his name is Rick Bratton. He's the Missouri State Representative, and it's being co-sponsored by Representative Kurt Barr. And this bill will propose that if you're not aware, if you're not informed on the situation that happened at Missouri a couple of months ago, the students protested. One kid went on a hunger strike. They were protesting the president of the university and the leadership of the university ignoring some of the racial behavior that was going on in the town and on the campus. And they felt like that their concerns weren't being heard with attending ears. And so they protested. And one kid went on a hunger strike. And then when things really got picked up and when the thing really caught some national steam was when the football team, who had a game against BYU that weekend, said, you know what? Yeah. And as you probably know, most football teams are made up of predominantly young black men. All right? So they was like, you know what? Yeah, if things don't change, we not playing. Yeah, we're gonna sit out this game and see how y'all like that. So when the money came into play, because that's what it's about. No one cares about the football game being played. The fact of the matter is that there were going to be TV situations going on. BYU was going to be owed $1 million from Missouri had they not played the game. Concessions would have been lost. Ticket sales would have been lost. All these kind of things. You probably would have had to refund tickets. All these kind of things. So it was after the president was very staunch in his position, saying that he wasn't going to retire. Hell no. Well, guess what? Oh, resign, I should say. Not retire. Well, he inevitably resigned. Yeah. He packed up his crap and went to hell home. So it sparked a little bit of a conversation as it pertains to the power of the student athlete, and if collectively student athletes recognize their power, how many other things could get done. I was on the other side of that conversation. I was on the side of the conversation that said, look, it's a one-off. It's one of those things that no one would be bold enough to speak against it. Like, take your ass back to the football field. Screw that racism. No one's going to say that. But if you start doing that about getting paid money, salaries or whatever, or health benefits, those are things that the average person would revert back to their normal stupid stance of, you go to school for free, you get money, you get housing and room and board and whatever. Like, yeah, the average idiot would go back to that stance. So it'd be hard to get whatever it is, 120-something universities, all their football teams, and people were talking about, like, the basketball teams sitting out March Madness. No, because a lot of the people who are playing these sports, they have aspirations beyond sports. Well, not beyond sports, but beyond the college level of sports to professional sports. Although most people won't. It's going to be hard-pressed to get the guys whose names we know, the Derrick Henrys, the Nick Chubbs, the Christian McCaffreys, the guys who we know are going to have a shot at the next level of football to say, you know what, we're going to sit out the Final Four in college football, or the Final Four in basketball now. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's going to be hard to get that collectively done. But in a situation like systematic racism, yeah, no one, even if you feel that way, that it's no big deal, no one's really going to be bold enough to say it. So in that situation, the students won. The game got played. The chancellor and the president ended up resigning, and people thought it was going to be the beginning of a movement. Well, not so fast, my friends. And this is One Mic with Big Mike. I am Big Mike, being heard on Spreaker.com and the Spreaker app for your mobile devices. This state representative, see, now I got this damn updated, this version thing on my damn. All right. He says, what the bill says, actually, let me read to you what the bill is. That'd probably be, it's HB 1743. It provides that any college athlete on scholarship who refuses to play for a reason unrelated to health shall have his or her scholarship revoked, which then opens up a whole nother Pandora's box. You know what I mean? We've heard situations of abusive coaching on the women's side, and on the men's side, Rutgers basketball, right? So what you're essentially saying is that if a kid is getting, is taking crap from a coach, and he decides, look, man, I can't play for this dude, you're going to deny him his education. This whole thing that the model of amateurism that the NCAA chooses to stand on is built around. They're students first. That whole student athlete moniker, which everyone, like, if you had any good sense, it's bull. You're a student athlete if you choose to be, and if you can afford to be. You know what I mean? Like the dudes that are being asked to allocate 50, 60 hours a week to football, you're not really. Very few of them are true student athletes. For the most part, they're athletes. They're athletes that are masquerading as students because they go to a college. They go to an institution of higher education. But when Saturday afternoon comes, you're not looking at them as students. Jim Bob in Bessemer, Alabama, he's not looking at them as students. These cats in Athens and in Columbia, South Carolina. Nah. I can tell by the way you react to them making a mistake. I remember a couple years ago, Aaron Murray lost the game to South Carolina. It was Jadeveon Clowney's, it was his freshman year, I think. I don't think it was his last year. Or maybe it was his sophomore year. Yeah, it was his sophomore year. And that dude got back to his house being vandalized. Yeah. Because, that's what you do with students. Even professionals. What am I saying? Even professionals. Like, get a life. All that, fan is short for fanatic. I don't give a damn. I don't need no English lesson. You're an idiot. So, back to this bill. So, Bratton pre-filled the HB 743 bill on December 11th, along with 8 other bills. See, if you don't really know, I don't know a lot about politics, but I know about this stuff. How they wrap one thing around a bunch of other things that they know will pass to try to get everything through. What he did was on December 11th, along with 8 other bills that fit squarely into his conservative agenda, HB 746, for instance, allows for guns and ammunition to be tax exempt. Does this dude not sound like a nut job? Like a donation. And then there's HB 1742, which would charge inmates 50 cents for every non-emergency medical examination. Prisoners in Missouri, obviously. And they earn $7.50 a month. So if you got to go to the doctor a couple times and it's not an emergency, and see, when things like this, they're very broad. Like, what is an emergency? Hemorrhoids, is that an emergency? Or you got to be like a stage 7 heart attack? What are we talking about? Yeah, man. And the reason I'm bringing this up, 1, because it definitely has a sports angle to it. And 2, it's something I tweeted earlier today, I think. If this is a time, like that stuff about some dude writing, making a swastika out of doo-doo, and another hillbilly with a Confederate flag screaming the N-word at a group of black people. Yeah, I mean, whatever. People are stupid. People are idiots. And I said all this when the story came out. But now what we talking about is something different. Like this past weekend, I was talking to my father-in-law about all this marching and all this crap y'all want to do when something happens, and think you're changing something. Not even realizing, you march for Michael Brown, you march for Trayvon, and 2 weeks later, the same thing was happening over and over and over again. I saw something the other day. I ain't even stick around to read it. Some dude was raping black women. Some police was raping black women. That's some before Abe type stuff. You know what I mean? Like master comes down out the big house to the slave quarters and picks out the ones he wants. Come on, man. But my overall point is this. Understand that the guy who's riding with that gun rack and in that busted pickup with the Confederate flag, he shouldn't command that much of your attention. Who should is guys like Rick Bratton, who's on that same side, but he has power and influence. These are the people that should worry us. So I hope my man in Missouri, the hunger strike dude, I don't have his name in front of me. I hope he's ready to be hungry again. Because this is the time when that needs to happen. Like, 'cause in real life, you can deal with that. You know what I mean? You can deal with some dude screaming the N-word. Because I'm of the opinion, and I've always been, not always, but as an adult, I've been of the opinion that something can only hurt me. Like, something verbal can only hurt me if I let it hurt me. Like, if I'm giving you that ammunition that, man, that really made me mad. Well, you win. I remember a long time ago as a kid hearing Too Short talk about, they asked Too Short about him using the term bitch in his music. And he had a very simple, rudimentary response to that. He was like, of course I'm not talking to every woman. And if you know I'm not talking to you, if you're walking down the street and you hear somebody scream out bitch, don't turn around. Just keep walking. So I feel the same way with the N-word. It's a word. This ain't 1950. Like, you're not going to scream that word and me assume that you about to come after me and string me up by a tree. Because that ain't going to happen. I got heat, dog. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I'm definitely on some stand my ground type stuff. I saw a video the other day on YouTube. I don't know if you guys saw this, but I guess it was in some restaurant or something. And apparently the white boy, there's a white guy, 2 white guys and 2 black dudes. And apparently, I don't know if the white guy called the young guy the N-word or if he just said it. I don't know. But there ended up being there wasn't a tussle, but there was an argument that ensued, right? And then it got physical. And it was the black dudes just wailing on these white boys. You know, and other black people around there laughing. I'm like, hold on, man. Like, what you doing, you're perpetrating the problem. Whatever problem you have with that word, all you're doing now is perpetrating it. Because guess what's going to happen? You just caught an assault beef. Because if this dude called the police, they're not going to lock him up for saying the N-word. This is America. But you put hands on this dude. And when I say put hands on, I'm talking about for real. Like on some Apollo Creed. How he got, yeah, like that. Like that Russian did him. Yeah. Just wailing on this white boy. I'm like, now, what point do you prove? Like, if you're all about some sort of cause, how are you helping that cause? You about to be a part of the system now on some assault type stuff. I for one, I don't think it's worth it. You're not gonna catch me. Nah, you're not gonna catch your boy flim-flamming around like that, because I love my freedom. You know, I love it more than I hate the N-word. I don't hate the N-word either. I don't. You know what I mean? I'm a person that understands context. I understand time and place. If I was in 1950 and somebody was calling me that, well, I can assume that something bad was going to happen to me after they did it. Right? But I live in 2015. So if you think something bad is going to happen to me, you can say whatever you want to out your mouth, but you put your hands on me, then it's going to be a problem for you, not me. And I understand that. But for whatever reason, man, you got young cats too. These cats couldn't have been no more than 20 something. They're carrying around this hate and this animosity, like, you know what I mean? Like it's something that they went through. Come on, man, give me a break. Give me a break, man. So anyway, these are the people. These people that are these representatives, these state representatives, that you and I need to be worried about, because they make the rules. And we're always 2 steps behind. As soon as we catch up to the rule, it changes again. Just be mindful, man. This guy goes on to say, Bratton, he goes on to say, The university should have stood against the anarchy. He calls it anarchy that happened with the protest. There was no anarchy. There was no upheaval or any of those things. There were just some kids that were upset with the things they were going through. Now, I'm not here to say if they were right to be upset about the things that happened to them, or if they were being overly sensitive. I think a lot of these college students, these millennials, I think they're very oversensitive. But that ain't this issue. Yeah, that ain't this. The fact of the matter is, the perception, especially now in 2015, the things that you perceive and the things that we perceive end up morphing themselves into actual reality. So if they perceive like some racist stuff is going on because every class they go to in Missouri, at the University of Missouri, I don't know what the racial makeup is of that town or that the town that it's in, or maybe in Columbia, Missouri. But they don't have a lot of black professors. And one lady who was a black professor there said she went through a bunch of stuff, racial stuff, with even colleagues saying racist stuff to her. Well, it far be it for me to tell somebody to leave a situation because it's uncomfortable. I do it. Like I like to see other people in uncomfortable situations, but if I don't want to be around something, I just bounce, cuz. You know what I mean? Yeah, one of my good buddies, man, dude named Jason Goff, he's famous for it. Like, you be in mid-sentence, and if he ain't trying to hear that junk and it's like making him uncomfortable, gone. like the wind. Yeah, you ain't got to stick around for that. But I understand people got jobs and people want to go to these schools because of certain programs they have and all this kind of stuff. But part of college is getting you ready for the real world. A Missouri doctoral student named Ruben Falufi, he told CBS Sports this, quote, "White supremacy strikes back. I think it's wild. It's unsettling," end quote. Yeah, you damn right. They like that stuff just don't happen without any rebuff. Like the game ain't over. You start taking down flags and you start getting people fired or people to quit their jobs. It ain't over. And they always got the trump card. Speaking of trump card, we'll get into that later. They always got the ace in their pocket. The fact that we aren't patient enough to infiltrate the system from the inside. What we want to do is we want to try to affect it from the outside with marches and protests and all this kind of stuff. Yeah, that might win you a battle, but the war itself, no, that thing is in the hands of your quote unquote enemies. I'm doing the rabbit ears if you're watching me on Facebook right now or on YouTube. And by the way, you guys can also check me out. My Facebook is facebook.com/ONEMICWITHBIGMIKE, 1 Mike with Big Mike.
It's the best of 1 Mike with Big Mike.
All right, now listen up. I don't want no trouble.
Let's get a little bit smarter now. As I promised you guys, right now on the phone is my guy Steve Silver from thelegalblitz.com. He's going to bring some intelligence to the show. Yeah, y'all give it up for Steve. Yeah. Steve, how you doing, brother?
I'm okay. Well, I'll try to be the professor tonight.
No, man, you're one of the smartest guests that I've had on any show that I've done or produced, and I mean that.
I appreciate it.
No problem, man. Where do we start? Let me ask you something that I didn't ask you the last time we talked. Are you a fan of any particular team or sport?
Well, I mean, I grew up in Pittsburgh, so Steelers come first.
Okay.
And then this year I've had tremendous success. Both my alma maters, Temple and Northwestern, great football teams. Both going to bowl games, and it's been a fun year. But I love football, but hockey's probably number one too. I covered hockey and spent a couple years covering hockey out in Vegas for the Las Vegas Sun before becoming a lawyer. So those are my two top sports.
All right. You know what? I noticed today when I was putting together the show and all the visual aspects for the show, I saw your picture and I was like, and I've been recently trying to like binge this show called The Grinder. Have you seen that?
I have not.
It's a show about lawyers with Rob Lowe and Fred Savage. And I was like, damn, this dude looks like Fred Savage off that show, The Grinder. And if you're wondering what I'm saying, you guys can check out. I have a picture of Steve Silver from thelegalblitz.com up right now on the Facebook page, on the live stream. You'll see me in live action, but you'll see a still photo of him right now. All right, to the business. Let's go up north, or to the Midwest. Let's go to Missouri. And this crazy law that they tried to pass, I found out right before the show started. I read an article that said they actually withdrew the law that, in my opinion, was serving as some sort of retaliation for what happened a few months ago on the campus, where the football players threatened not to play a game that Saturday versus BYU because the president of the university at the time was ignoring some of the racial matters that went on there. And then once the football team got involved, he ended up, bowing down to their request and resigning. Now, Rick Bratton and Kurt Barr, two politicians from Missouri, wanted to pass a law that says if you're in that position as a student athlete, that term, that ridiculous term, student athlete, and you decide that you're not going to play a sport based on some belief that you may have or some protest or something of that nature, your scholarship will be revoked. Now, when you heard about this, as a legal mind and as an attorney, what was your initial reaction?
I remember when I first saw it on Twitter, actually, that morning. One of my good friends from college and the other reporter that I covered Northwestern football with when I was in college is David Morrison, and he is the beat reporter now for Missouri football at the Columbia newspaper. And so, I keep track of everything he's doing, and his status popped up. This bill has been pre-filed, and I couldn't believe it. I didn't know anything about this Rick Bratton, and apparently he has a history of some misguided legislation, shall we say.
Mm-hmm.
But, I thought, you've got to be kidding me. I mean, sometimes you see links or pictures online, and I just figured maybe it's a hoax or something. And then I started seeing more news outlets reporting, and I thought, I got to get to the bottom of this and, get something up, and ended up writing, a story that was picked up on Deadspin and has attracted a lot of attention, and really some divisive attention, people on both sides of it. And, I think there's a lot of issues we can talk about, and number one was certainly, it's called the First Amendment.
Wait, so people were actually on this dude's side?
People, I'm shocked every time I write about the NCAA or student athletes or payment. I've been very active. I've been down in South Carolina testifying on behalf of a bill to create trust funds, postgraduate trust funds for student athletes. And on this story, people thought, well, it's their job. They should, if they don't play, they shouldn't get their scholarship, which is the whole point.
Right.
Right.
Oh,
so the
really?
the people who are saying, well, if I don't show up for work, I don't get paid. Well, that's the whole point. They're not getting paid. And to view scholarship as a form of payment might be legitimate, but then we got to talk about changing the whole system. There's plenty of college students on scholarships right now that if they skip their, 10 o'clock literature class tomorrow, their scholarship's not being revoked.
Right.
So this is just absurd.
Would it be fair for me to, I've coined a term, I need to call the people who copyright things, the Trump effect. This whole thing that's going on now where people just ignore facts, they ignore common sense, they ignore the Constitution and say, you know what, this is what I want. Politicians, I mean, so this is what's going to happen. The fact that he's talking about these kids receiving state money, when in fact they do not. None of the kids on that campus receive state money for athletic scholarships. It's written in the handbook. Am I correct in giving this type of behavior that moniker, the Trump effect?
Well, I think this is just the we could call the older white guy effect, which is just I want to watch my football and I don't want to hear about politics or these kids wanting money or even having rights, because You come here to play football, and that's what I want you to do.
He actually said that.
Step out of line. When it step out of line, it makes me feel uncomfortable. So I better do something, to keep these kids in line. And let's be honest, the other co-sponsor of the bill, he came out and he admitted this is in direct response to the strike that happened back in October. Yes, he said that. I mean, so there's no guessing about it. This is what the bill intended to do. And what's behind that bill, as I wrote about, is you're looking at a state that's had a lot of racial tension, a lot of issues in the past year, that has a pretty divisive, I guess, political scene from what I'm learning. And you've got a bill that says, hey, we've got a football team, and there's a lot of kids who look a little different than us on that football team, and we want to control them. And that's really what this was intended to do.
Now, you kind of alluded to it earlier about people considering, or those people considering this a job. Rick Bratton, he actually, in a comment, said, "You're here to play football." What do you think the higher-ups at the NCAA were thinking when all this was going down? Because that's pretty much the crux of their whole amateurism scam. The fact that, no, they're here to get an education. They just happen to play football. What were those people thinking?
Well, that's what's so amazing about all, from the original strike, several months ago to this bill, which is, this is exactly what the NCAA fears. The more and more that it gets into the public, consciousness that this is really a job, and a scholarship is a form of payment, and this is what these kids are on campus to do, play football. I mean, that just cracks the whole foundation. The whole thing is predicated on they're just students. They happen to play football, but they're just like everybody else.
Right.
Now, we all know that's a lie. I mean, it's just not true anymore. But that's what's so fascinating, because when they first said they were going to strike, what could the school do? If they did revoke scholarships, then they'd be admitting that if you don't come to work, you're not getting paid.
Right.
And that just undermines their whole argument.
He's Steve Silver of thelegalblitz.com. Make sure you guys follow him, as I do, on Twitter and Facebook at The Legal Blitz. Before I move on to my fantasy football topic, you made mention to some things a few seconds ago, and I want to ask you, this Dabo Swinney thing, where he gave pizza to like 20-something thousand students because they made it to, they finished number one in the rankings. Could his players have partaken in that pizza without there being an NCAA violation?
Well, let's say this. Coach Swinney probably bought all that pizza because by his football players doing so well, he's gotten more than $1 million in bonuses this year.
And he's one of the big proponents about not paying players as well.
Right. And for anyone that follows me on Twitter, you know that at least once a week I tweet something negative about him. He's my number one target.
Good for you.
This is a guy who promised to quit if any money is given to athletes,
right,
to the college athletes. That's so insane for a guy who earns several million a year plus bonuses, which he's, credit to the team for going undefeated, but every win he's getting more money in his pocket. So he could have bought some of these kids new cars, let alone pizzas.
Ridiculous.
And wouldn't have felt it. But, you raise an interesting point, as we've seen in recent history of a coach buying a kid a bagel, or lunch, it can be a violation. And, you really have to get these things approved in advance, and there's some calculation as to what the value of the free stuffing, what would be the value of the pizza. And really the rules have changed somewhat since, if you remember, when UConn basketball was in the championship, and their star player says he's going to bed hungry at night. So the NCAA has tried to avoid having that happen again. It has restricted some of this, but certainly I guarantee you someone in that athletic department had to go check the compliance codes to make sure it was okay.
Now, did you hear about what Oliver Luck had to say? Andrew Luck's dad had to say the other day about his opinion on why coaches are paid and the players aren't. Basically, because coaches are adults and these athletes aren't. Doesn't that kind of give you a photograph, a snapshot of the mindset of the people who run this cricket organization? Like, they don't even look at these 18, 19, 20-year-old young men as men.
Of course not. Listen, they can be drafted and go serve in the military and go fight for us, but give them any sort of rights
right.
or
Anything.
compensate them, or compensate them for the fact that they're putting their health on the line day in and day out, really their future long-term health with no promise of insurance, in the future, no promise like an employee would have workers' compensation.
Mm-hmm.
This is a one-sided system, and it's a system in which the one side keeps getting their pockets filled bigger and bigger.
Right.
And no one wants to give up a piece of that pie. But I think that it's coming. The NCAA, they scored a little bit of a victory in the O'Bannon case, but it was a mixed victory, and I think that's going to pave the way for some more court challenges in the next, let's say, 5 years, and we're going to see a big change.
One last NCAA question about the hypocrisy that does live within. I want to get your opinion on the Leonard Fournette jersey and cleats, how at first he wouldn't be allowed to auction them, and then because of the public outcry, they then caved and let him auction his gear for the relief efforts that were going on in South Carolina with the floods. What's your take on that?
Well, that is just the MO for the NCAA, right? They will do anything and try anything until there's a public outcry. I mean, they'll allow coaches to, break contracts and leave for other schools overnight, but a student tries to transfer for a legitimate reason, and they'll prevent it. A student tries to sell a jersey for money. Oh, no, you can't do that. Oh, but then it comes out, no, it's for charity, and they look bad, so then they reverse themselves. This happens. This happens almost weekly.
Should they have?
What?
Should they have allowed him to do it?
It certainly opens up the door for more of this to happen.
Exactly.
For, other athletes, and that, that could create problems down the road in terms of, is it a legitimate charity and organization it's going to? Who's overseeing the money? Is anybody making money off of it? Right? Is an auction house getting an administrative fee? There's all these little things that I think you have to be careful of. But in terms of the decision-making process, as is playing out right now in court over the USC, Southern Cal violations, the NCAA, it just ignores the law and sometimes the facts right in front of them to make decisions that fit their philosophy. And consequences be damned. They're going to do what they want to do.
Mm-hmm. He's Steve Silver of thelegalblitz.com joining me right now. I got a couple more minutes with him. Make sure you guys are following him at The Legal Blitz on Twitter and on Facebook. Moving on real quick here. Are you a fantasy football guy? You got a couple fantasy teams you're working on right now, playoff time? You one of those guys?
I do. I won the regular season and then lost in the first round of the playoffs.
Bees like that. Because you know why? You don't have the skill.
It's killing me.
You don't have the skill. It's not a game of chance. It's a game of skill, is it not?
Well, and the big difference is it's season long versus daily fantasy, and where do we draw that line?
Right.
This is one of the most interesting topics in the past several years, I think.
What's the next step for those guys, FanDuel and DraftKings? I know they have been now, I guess, re-allowed to do business in the state of New York as they were the Attorney General. He told them they couldn't do it, but then they appealed, and now they're waiting on another court date. What is the next step for them, and how does that whole thing transpire? How do you see it transpiring?
Well, I think what's going to happen, and just so we're clear, it was the Attorney General wanted to shut them down.
Mm-hmm.
Both sides filed, motions to prevent the other from, doing so. And a judge actually ruled that FanDuel and DraftKings is illegal gambling. That was a court ruling at the lowest level, which in New York is called the Supreme Court, but it's the entry-level court. That ruling came down, and then a stay was issued pending an appeal. So it just basically set the status quo. It has not overturned that decision. That is a decision, and it will be determined by an appeals court. But right now, if I had to bet, both DraftKings and FanDuel are working overtime, with their lobbyists and their investors, all their big influence, to get laws passed, to basically legalize and regulate them so that they don't have to, pin all their hopes on some appeals court. I'm guessing that's exactly what's happening in Albany right now.
Why wouldn't they have done that preemptively? Like, why would they wait until something actually happened to decide to do that?
I ask myself this a lot, which is, these companies are paying gigantic law firms millions of dollars to really give them bad advice.
Mm-hmm.
I always think, well, why isn't my phone ringing from one of these big boys in New York? But, what they did was, I think it was arrogance, which is we found a little opening in a 2006 federal law that allows us to do what we're going to do, or at least we think it does. And we're going to exploit that, and we're going to hit you over the head,
right,
with a commercial every 2 seconds.
Right.
And we don't need to deal with the states. We can get by. And they should have seen it coming. They should have worked to basically craft friendly legislation and get it passed state by state to avoid the mess they're in now, which is New York is just test case. California is looking into them. Georgia is looking into them.
Didn't Philadelphia
Florida,
just pass something as well?
Pennsylvania,
yeah. Did they just pass something as well?
Yeah. Well, there has not been a court ruling, but the attorney generals are all investigating these sites. The Department of Justice, the U.S. Attorney's Office, they're looking into them. So you've got all these hands sort of in the pot saying, well, it looks like gambling and it smells like gambling, is it? And you have a state like Massachusetts who says, well, we're just going to go ahead, legalize it and regulate it, and tax it. And I think that's the path that the companies now, they have to go to.
Mm-hmm.
In order to survive, they have to adjust to some regulations and, welcome some additional taxes.
Amazing how that works. We got a couple more minutes here with Steve Silver of thelegalblitz.com. He is the founder of thelegalblitz.com. Also, make sure you guys are following him on Facebook and on Twitter at thelegalblitz. Are you going to go check out that concussion movie on Christmas or?
Oh, I definitely am. And it was filmed in Pittsburgh, my hometown. I assume it's going to make me feel even worse about myself when I watch football there.
Dude, some of these ex-players called it a horror movie to them. They had a screening here in Atlanta, and the NFLPA set it up for Peter King's site, the Monday Morning Quarterback, to have some former players go check it out. They walked out of that movie screening saying this was more of a horror movie for us. Like, guys were in there gasping and crying. Yeah, man, it's real.
I don't doubt it, and I've suspected that this movie will hint at what the public would have learned about had the NFL not settled the concussion lawsuit.
Right.
That settlement, which is $700+ million, even though it's a drop in the bucket for what their exposure could have been, it's still a lot of money. And they settled that case because there would have been depositions and discovery and all kinds of documents made public about how much the NFL knew and how they actively tried to cover up,
right,
evidence of the long-term effects of repeated concussion. And I think that movie, I almost lost my mind. I don't know if you saw on ESPN, but Adam Schefter said, people shouldn't go watch the concussion movie.
Because knowledge
that
is
all
power.
The information's, all the information's already out there. It was on, the PBS, Frontline series, and they don't need to go see a dramatization. Well, no, they do. Because it's a form of storytelling that's powerful, and it gets it in people's minds. And this is a very real problem. This is one of the most powerful corporations in America, and this is how they treated people.
And most people are too lazy to read.
To it.
Yeah, most people are just too lazy to read. So movies may be the best vehicle to get it across to the average person. I've been reading about this for a very long time. I've had Dr. Sanjay Gupta on the show before. We've talked about the concussion stuff. And I want to ask you something as a lawyer, something that I think a lot of people are glazing over. Like so many people are talking about with this issue, small kids and Pop Warner. And the issue's even been raised in about college kids because now Northwestern tried to unionize, and there's this thing happened in Missouri, and people saying, "Oh my God, these college kids, they're starting to realize their power." But I feel like the part of the equation that's being forgotten is high school, because in many high school districts, they can't handle lawsuits. A college can handle a lawsuit. Even Pop Warner, because of the money that they bring in, can handle a lawsuit. But I'm of the opinion that if some mom goes and sues, I was reading this article about this kid named Zach Langston that blew his head off, and his mom is attributing that to head injuries from playing high school football. And I'm seeing high schools shut down their football program. If a mom decided, I want to sue this school district for $100 million, or the school, they could shut down a whole school district of sports. Am I wrong in thinking that?
So you're not wrong in thinking it, and that's been, there have been lawsuits filed. I know Illinois was involved in some, and then the state of Washington, I've written in the past, it's called the Zachary Life Step Law, which ended up being passed over there. And, what you're seeing is, yes, the insurance premiums just aren't going to, cover it. Schools can't afford, policies in terms of what one lawsuit victory could do. The problem is proving that the concussions and whatever the disease would be, or if it's CTE, which can only be diagnosed after someone's dead.
Absolutely.
That it came from that high school. It didn't come from playing in the backyard with your friends. It didn't come from the youth league before you got to high school. There's a lot of proof issues that are difficult when you're talking about a lawsuit like that. But the liability, yes, it's enormous. And it's one victory away from shutting down the system. It really is. And I know that the schools and the different athletic associations at the high school level have been trying to be proactive about it. They put more doctors on the sidelines, make sure there's a clearance program. But there's only so much you can do. I mean, I really do think as the science evolves into being able to diagnose brain trauma better, that these schools are facing a ticking time bomb.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, he is Steve Silver. TheLegalBlitz.com is his website. He's also on Twitter and Facebook at The Legal Blitz.
It's the best of One Mic with Big Mike.
Oh, it's good.
Did y'all see this thing about Tiger Woods? And it's absolutely hilarious to me. And the reason it is, I'll tell you what it is in a second, but the reason it's so hilarious to me is because his situation, how do I want it? Indirectly, if I can say it in my native tongue of English, led to my firing at at the station I was formerly at, 92.9 The Game here in Atlanta, Georgia. And it was a conversation we were having about the whole situation with he and his ex-wife, Elin, and how he got caught up with all those women. I was going to say all them hoes, but they weren't all hoes. I think some of them were like regular women. Some of them were like porn stars, which, that falls into the whole category, I think. You know what I mean? That, it's like he said, garden tools, shears, and, lawnmower and hose right there in front of your garden tools. Okay, so anyway, he did an interview. They did an article on him in Time magazine, and he talks about the the relationship with he and his ex-wife now, and the things that happened in the past. And Tiger says he strongly regrets lying to his ex-wife about all the cheating back in the day. He says now she's quote unquote one of my best friends. See, and this was always my issue with it. It wasn't what he did. And women, you can back me on this. Like, forgiving a dude is a lot easier. Like, if you're going to forgive him, it's easier when it's between you and him. You know what I mean? When you're not embarrassed. Like, I've always said, that's like one of the worst things you can do. Like, dudes think the worst thing you can do is like cheat or lie or whatever. No. The worst thing you can do is like when her friends find out that you cheated. Because then you're not just fighting a one-on-one battle anymore. You're fighting the battle with her and all her lonely, fat, miserable friends. Yeah, I'm not wrong about that. But in his case, it's not just her friends. It's everyone. Like, I went to the grocery store one time. True story. And, you know, I picked up a magazine while I'm sitting in line. It was around the time the Tiger Woods stuff happened. And so I put it back. And she's like, oh, that Tiger Woods, I can't stand him. This is a black woman. I can't stand him. That's what he get for not claiming he black. Wait a minute, ma'am. And I wasn't going to get into it with her because I'm trying to get my stuff and leave. You know what I mean? And in my neighborhood, stuff like that can escalate fast. You know, in this neck of the woods here. So, you know, but my thought was, why does he have to? Like, why does he have to identify himself only with the side of him that is black? His mom's not black. She's Asian. So should he just disrespect her culture? Like, that whole, like, black people, we didn't come up with that. That whole, if you got one drop of blood in you, that means you're black. We didn't come up with that foolishness. Guess what? Yeah, that's all a part of that whole slave and, you know, mixed races and all that. That's that Jim Crow, all that stuff. And like, we've decided we're going to adopt it like it's our own. People posting on Facebook, you know, this is what's wrong with our race, and putting pictures of athletes and their wives. Look, man, happiness. That's it. You know what I mean? Your happiness. Like, the only thing I might have a problem with, if a dude just says like exclusive, like some black dude said, I don't deal with no black women. Well, but your mom and your sister, and I'm sure you got maybe aunties, or like, what does that say about them? Like, if you fall in love with a white girl or Asian girl or whatever, that's what it is. You know, that's where your happiness lies. That's just where it is. You know what I mean? But to be a part of something and exclude that part of yourself is the same thing I was saying about Tiger Woods. I don't think it's right for him to just say, I'm a black man. Damn the Asian part of me. No, you're a sum of a couple of different things. And it's not like one of those things where somebody could say to me, well, if that's the truth, you can go way, way back in history. I'm sure you got some white folks in your family. Okay, maybe. But we're talking about the woman who raised him. You know what I mean? You know, not my slave owning step granddaddy from, you know, way, way back that just had his way with my great grandmama. No, that's ridiculous. Anyway, back to Tiger, because I got to tell you guys how he led to my firing. So he goes on to tell Time magazine that if he could change anything about what happened in 2009, wow, that was that long ago, huh? That, quote, it would be having more open, honest relationship with my ex-wife, end quote. He goes on to say, quote, having the relationship that I have now with her is fantastic. She's one of my best friends. We're able to pick up the phone and we talk to each other all the time. We both know the most important things in our lives are our kids. I wish I would have known that back then, end quote. So then he was asked if he would have done anything differently. He says, quote, when it comes down to it, right down to it, it's just having a more open, honest relationship with my ex-wife when we were married, end quote. Quote, our frustrations would have come out if we had talked about it and been open and honest with each other, which we are now. And it's absolutely fantastic, end quote. Now, I want to point something out to you guys, and it kind of will get me to the point at which I was fired, because my whole contention with the whole thing was he was an idiot anyway for for things going down and going down so horribly. You know what I mean? It was totally his fault, and not for the ladies, not for the reason that you might be saying, duh, of course it's his fault. No. He's Tiger Woods, right? Ma'am, wifey, I met you on the golf course. Like, we didn't just bump into each other at Kroger or at Publix. No, you was there for a reason, the same way all these other broads have been there for a reason, because of who I am and what I do. Now, here's the other thing. And this is what I actually said that caused some of my I don't know, that added some fuel to that fire that was burning towards me and my firing. Well, fire and firing, yeah. I was like, look, it's got to be an understanding here. I'm Tiger Woods. I got billions of dollars. I think Tiger Woods is over that $1 billion threshold, right? The only question you need to have for me is not who I'm banging, is pretty much who I'm not banging. You know what I mean? And because I said banging, you know, people who were actually banging people at our job, which they shouldn't have been, subordinates, and wanting to be extra righteous, then apparently saying banging was a lot worse than actually doing it. Another story. Well, I'll complete the story on another day, but this is what he's saying in this article to me, because at no point, I just read it to you, at no point did he say if he could have done anything wrong, like I wouldn't have banged 20 something women behind my wife's back. What he's saying is, yeah, I should have just been honest with her. Quote, trying to look for the quote. It would be having a more open, honest relationship with my ex-wife. That's all. He's just saying I should have just realized who I am and told her. Yes, indeed. Tiger. He's learning, though. It looks like he's learning. But what it sounds like, too, is like there's some reconciliation going on. And here's the thing with Tiger, because I'm looking at a picture of this broad right now. She's a strong 6, maybe 6.5. You know what I mean? Like, this ain't no dime that I'm looking at here. This is, yeah, you know, whatever. I don't know, man. Just, weirdness. Anyway, but while I'm there, let's go to, before I start talking about this NFL stuff, I don't know if you guys remember Oscar Pistorius. He's the guy who sprinted in the Olympics but he don't have any legs. He had like the I don't know what they're called. He had false legs, right? And there was a big deal made out of it. He ran, but he sucked. He was bad at it and whatever. But it was a big deal, right? Prosthetics that's the word I was looking for. He has prosthetic legs. And then on Valentine's Day a few years ago, he decided he wanted to murder his girlfriend. You know, she went to the bathroom in the middle of the night. He went and got his gun and shot her through the door. Well, initially, he was charged with some sort of minor offense. Well, not really minor, but it wasn't murder. You understand? They put him in jail. He ended up being found guilty. Put him in jail for like 5 years. This dude got paroled after 12 months. Well, at the beginning of the show, I told you guys there was some good news that actually came out of South Africa, and that's where he is, and that's where this tragedy happened a few years back. Well, he had to appear in front of an appellate, not even appellate court. Well, he was in appellate court, but there's like a panel, like 4 or 5 people panel that he had to appear in front of. Yeah, and he gave this dude a murder beef behind that, which he should have gotten anyway. He hadn't been sentenced yet, but it's sure to be more than the little PA sentence he got the first time. So that's always good. Like, there's no way in hell people should be able to do stuff like that and not be punished for it. And under the guise of saying, oh, well, I thought it was a burglar. No, you didn't. You didn't think it was no damn burglar. You wanted to kill this chick, and you took the opportunity, and you shot her like 1,000,000 times through a closed bathroom door. Idiot. Take your ass to jail, and I hope the Voodoo Warrior have fun with you while you're there. And if you don't know who the Booty Warrior, I'm not going to do it. I got a drop from the Booty Warrior, but you can just look it up online. You can look it up on the Google machine, and you'll find old. I can't remember his name now, to be honest with you. I can't remember his name. Like Rob knows, my former co-host Rob. He knows his name very well. Not because, anyway, whatever.
It's the best of One Mic with Big Mike.
Oh, it's good.
Ladies and gentlemen, as promised, one of the coldest point guards I've ever seen do it joins One Mic with Big Mike right now. He is a former NBA All-Star, second overall pick of the New Jersey Nets in 1991. Big-time college point guard. Kenny, I'm telling you, this is not just because you're here with me. I tell people all the time, I got 3 point guards who I feel like are the coldest to ever play in my generation, college basketball. No particular order is you, Chris Jackson, well, now Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf, and Jason Kidd, period. You can find him on Twitter and Instagram at Chibbs, CHIBBS_1, Twitter and Instagram. Also, Chibbs.com. You can get some Mr. Chibbs gear. I'm going to go in there and check me out a beanie, or Scully, as we call him down here in the A. Also, he's got a documentary, Mr. Chibbs, directed by Jill Campbell. Where's that nickname come from? That's your nickname, Mr. Chibbs. Where's the nickname Mr. Chibbs come from?
Yeah, that's very dear to me, man. My mother named me that when I was like 5 days old. You know, when she had me, and then they bring the baby in the room. They brought me in the room. Her mouth was full. She was eating. She said, "Look, cheeks, Chibbs." It came out cheeks, and then she said Chibbs, and it just stuck. And my neighborhood friends and family called me Chibbs. And then when I knew my name was Kenneth when she registered me for kindergarten. I didn't know my name was Kenneth until kindergarten. And it was there. And then Mr. Chibbs is when when I did something great, she was like proud of me, and she used to be like, "Oh, look at Mr. Chibbs, he's doing his thing, Mr. Chibbs." So I just took it, and I said, you know what, when I do my life story, my documentary, I'm gonna name it Mr. Chibbs.
Now, before we get into that, I see you on Instagram, you're a big Cowboys fan. Cowboys got a big victory without Tony Romo yesterday. My man, that was bad football. I mean, are you as a fan happy about what you saw last night?
No, I'm not excited at all. With my season this year, my Cowboys is just terrible. But we had a lot of injuries, a lot of misfortunes, and we just, that whole division is terrible. The Eagles, the Redskins, the Giants, everybody. But if we was healthy throughout the season, we would have ran through that division. But no, it's my season has been, my football season has been nothing but not nice at all, man.
Ladies and gentlemen, he's a New York City basketball Hall of Famer. He is Kenny Anderson. Got his documentary, Mr. Chibbs. Is it already out, Kenny, or is it about to come out?
No, it's about to come out in about 8 months. You got my director's doing a hell of a job, Jill Campbell. I got a big-time investor, good business partner and friend, Barry Greenstein, and then Skyscraper Film, small company out of New York. Got to give them love because they believed in my life story, and they invested in me. I just got a great team, and I love them. And Jill is doing a hell of a job with the story. It's very inspirational. It's not just basketball. It's getting to know Kenny Anderson. I was a child prodigy coming out of New York. Then got recruited to go to Georgia Tech. Signed with Atlanta. Just a lot of. It's going to be just. It's very inspirational. It's very great message for the youth out there, even for the adults. All the things I had to overcome.
Was that the motivation behind it for kids coming up behind you? Because you've lived quite the life, my man. Was your motivation for the documentary to kind of just help what we say, throw the rope back over the wall? You made it now to help people who are coming up behind you.
Oh, absolutely, and it's the fad. Everybody's doing documentaries, so it was brought to me. I said, why not? I think my story needs to be told, and just to help. The youth, I guess when it comes out, I'm definitely going to speak at my alma mater, Georgia Tech. I want the team to see it. I want the alumni to see it. And, Georgia Tech mean the world to me. It was a great 2 years there. I love Coach Quinn. I love Dennis Scott, Ron Oliver, my team. It just was awesome, So it's just a great message to give to the kids.
Now, talking about the life that you led, from where you've come from, some of the things that you've gone through, what would you say, if any, is your biggest regret in life or in basketball?
Well, my biggest regret is I didn't get help. When I got molested, I held it in for like 30-something years. It came out, and I think it affected me, my actions, how I led my life. That's the only regret. All the other things, maybe not listening to my mother and not getting married, my first marriage when I was 23, 24 years old. I always listened to my mother, and I did that time, and I should have. But, I don't have, life lessons. It's not regrets. It's just you're always learning.
Exactly.
I couldn't be that person. I couldn't be here now doing what I'm doing if I didn't make those mistakes and go down that road. So I don't, that only one thing I regret is that, being molested and holding it inside. I think it affected me emotional a great deal as I got older in adulthood.
You're listening to One Mic with Big Mike. I am Big Mike, speaking right now with former college basketball great out of Georgia Tech, Kenny Anderson. He's at Chibbs, CHIBBS_1 on Twitter and Instagram. Also check out his line of Scullies and products that he's selling at Chibbs.com. He's got a documentary coming out, Mr. Chibbs, directed by Jill Campbell. Now, you do work with kids, right? Now, the kids now, do they, of course they know who Kenny Anderson is, but do they have an appreciation for how cold of a dude you were with the Rock, cuz?
I don't know if they do, but that's what's great about my documentary. They're going to see it. They're going to understand it a little bit more. You got YouTube. You got all these avenues for social media that they can see, the past history of basketball. So that's the good thing. You know what I mean? I have 8 kids, and they all older. So most of them didn't watch me play in the league. They caught me when I was on my way out. So they got to YouTube me and see some of my footage. And my daughters, they like, wow, Dad, we didn't know you was that good.
Right.
So it's very interesting. But I understand it. The generation, they're young, and I'm a little bit older, so I just try to do a lot of different things, as far as camps, clinics, motivational speaking, and staying relevant. You got to stay relevant. And I think the kids are the ones that you need to hit and get their attention.
Speaking of relevance, you played basketball a long time, a high school, like you said, a phenom early. But if not for basketball, what would we know Kenny Anderson for right now? Like, did you have other aspirations other than basketball coming up?
I don't know, man. I get a little bit emotional when I get, like that's interesting. You know what I mean? I don't know. I might be running around the streets in left rack with some not good dudes, doing drugs. I don't know, because the way I came up in basketball, that's what saved me. That's what I inducted my whole life around. I didn't fail school. I didn't do anything wrong because of basketball. Now, if it wasn't in my life, I don't know. I might have went the opposite way. I would have went left. You know what I mean? So basketball meant the world to me. And like I always said, and follow me on Twitter, basketball was my hustle to just take care of my mother. That was my motivation. I kept seeing my mother struggle. I didn't really care about anything else. I said, I need to take care of my mother, and basketball is going to be the tool. And whatever try to come between that, I'm dead in it. I'm not letting it get between that.
Right.
And I was able to do that. And everything else that came with it, the fame, the money, all that was a bonus. I really didn't care about that. I just wanted to see my mother have a carefree life before she leaves. And I was able to do that for 20 years. She enjoyed her life.
Something else you've been very forthright with as far as speaking out on is what happens when a young kid goes from the inner city and immediately, goes to college, and then he gets into professional sports, and then all of a sudden life changes immediately. Now, Forbes estimated that you made about $63 million in your career, your basketball career. Explain to my audience how someone goes from $63 million to bankruptcy, exactly how easy it is to do that when you don't have a map in front of you telling you how to navigate through that part of your life.
Yeah. Well, first of all, you're just spinning, wildly. You're helping others. I have a big heart. I talk about that on my documentary about financial literacy. And then you got to understand, I have money. Bankruptcy is not like you broke.
Please believe.
All people do it. And I'm not going to tell you what I was doing for the bankruptcy, but everybody knows you hide money that way,
right.
Different things. So you're broke. Everybody broke is not the same. You know what I mean? So bankruptcy, sometimes you have to do it to get, to start over cleanly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But you got jealousy, you got envy. When you grow up in certain inner city in the project, some of those people, they act like they want you to do well, but they don't. They want to see you fail. So the only thing, you got to have a great team in your corner, and I did have that. I had a great lawyer, Erwin Levy. I love him. He's been there for me since I was 17, 18. Dick Gilbert was a long time family member. He took care of me in college. I love him. You know what I mean? Benson Smith, my mentor, he's been there. Pierre Turner. I got guys that's still in my corner after everything I've been through. And that's what the documentary is going to bring out. That, I did this, I did that. But after all, I'm down here in Florida, got a nice home. My kids are doing well. I'm able to live a productive life, and I'm getting better. I'm trying to figure it out. So I'm all right. I'm in a good state right now.
My man.
Good state of mind.
And I think we all are. I think if you live to be 110 years old, you still be trying to figure it out at 110. So it is what it is. You feel me?
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. You talk about, we just got to talking about some of the trials and tribulations you go through as a young man trying to become a man. At the time when you were drafted in '91, you were the youngest player drafted at that point. Have you been paying attention to what's going on in Philadelphia, or what had been going on with Jahlil Okafor? Him spending 1 year in college, now being with a kid that's never lost. Now he's in Philadelphia, where it almost seems like the goal is to lose, and now he's finding himself in some troubles. If I don't know if you have, but if you had a chance to sit down with this kid, what would be your message to him as far as?
That's what I'm trying to do. I will, after my documentary come out. I want to mentor some of these young pros that's coming in the league. Sit them down and tell them, the do's and don'ts and life lessons. And I was the youngest guy in the league at my time. I was from the metropolitan area, and I got drafted right into my neighborhood somewhat. You know what I mean? And we lost. We was mediocre. We was like 500, but I didn't play as the number 2 pick. There was times I was depressed. All type of stuff I was hearing, through the media. And you got to be strong-willed, and you got to be able to have thick skin. And I don't think he's there yet. And we can go with the excuse of being young, but after a while that dies out.
Right.
Then you got to figure it out. You know what I mean? And by him fighting, and he might have anger management problems. He might have had that in Duke in high school, and nobody knew. They threw it under the rug. So he might have to get professional help, maybe, as far as with a psychiatrist or. And I'm not saying psychiatrist is bad, because I go to one once or twice a week. Sometimes you need the help to talk to somebody that don't have a hidden agenda. You can't talk to your family, your friends, and all that. They sometimes use that against you. So sometimes, getting outside help is good for you. But I think he'll get it together. But, him being on a Philadelphia 76ers with no other veteran, just all bunch of young players making a little bit of money, that's crazy. And they losing every game. It could be crazy. I wonder how that locker room is. I wonder about that, because I know how losing locker rooms could be.
Wow. He's Mr. Chibs, a.k.a. Kenny Anderson. On Twitter, he's at Chibs_1. Check out his website, chibs.com. And the documentary soon to be released, Mr. Chibs, directed by Jill Campbell. Yeah. Check this out. You had some comments about the NBA age restriction. Would you share that with us, how you feel about the one and dones, or the straight from high schools, or them increasing the age limit on kids coming out of college?
Yeah, it's a catch-22 situation. I left 2 years. I think if you think you're big bad and you're good enough and you're talented enough from high school, leave from high school. But if you commit yourself to a college, I think they should own your rights. You know what I'm saying? For like 2 to 3 years. I'm not sure if it's 2 or 3, which is definitely maybe 3. But I think from high school, if you put your name in the draft, then you do that. But once you commit to a school, I think that you should commit for 2-3 years.
But what would you say to a kid that's not able to do that? Like Anthony Davis, a kid who grew like a foot in a summer, and from his high school to his freshman year in college became an absolute monster. Like his development happened at that time. He couldn't go from high school to college, but after his first year, it was pretty much no sense in him playing with children anymore. What would you say to that kid?
I would say the same, man. I understand the struggles. In the city, you need the money to take care of your family. It's your dream. It ain't going nowhere within a year. You take an insurance policy out, and bottom line, all this nonsense, I'll be real. If you're so talented, we know you got handlers. You all right for 12 months. They are taking care of you and your family. They giving you money. So you come on. They see the talent. So they're going to take care of you for 12 months or a year so you can get better at just different things, just growing. I think college is good for social, interacting and the coach, and giving you more positive influence in life after basketball. Because once you get into the NBA, it's just boom, it's a business. Now you got to win. Now you got to take care of yourself. You got money. You got all stuff coming at you from different angles. I just think, a lot of that stuff is nonsense with the one and done. They're rushing, which is fine, if that's what you want to do. But you're all right. You're all right for 12 months because I guarantee you that some firm, some lawyer, somebody agent is taking care of you because they see the benefit.
Speaking of guys going straight from high school to the pros, Kobe Bryant announced that he will be retiring after 20 seasons this year. You played against Kobe Bryant. You got any stories that you can share with me about, either on the court, off the court stuff as it relates to Kobe?
No, I respect Kobe game, but I was never Kobe. Like, I don't know Kobe. There's a lot of people lead, played against. I just, after the game, good game, shake your hand, boom, and move on. I don't know him personally, but I do gain respect for him, and I started gaining more respect for him when he was up for that rape case in Denver. He was flying back and forth, and he could have been thrown in jail for so many years, and he kept his focus, and he was killing people that whole week or two in the league. And I was like, wow, this guy is strong mentally. This guy is on a different level mentally. So that's what I gain respect for him, but I don't know him like that.
Absolutely. The day after a professional athlete hangs it up, what are they in store for? What was your situation that next day or the next time that you were supposed to be dealing in basketball or dealing with what you dealt with for the past 15, 20 years of your life? What is it after? What is it like after you hang it up?
Yeah, they should have a life coach set up for you in the league when you retire, because a lot of guys don't have no more structure. When you're in the league, you got structure. When I hung it up, I was like 2 years. 2005 is when I retired. That's the worry of my life. I wouldn't want to live 2005 over again if somebody paid me. I lost my mother. I had all different legal issues after that coming at me. I didn't know what to do. I was like very depressed. I was in a dark place. And I got it together. I got help and I got it together. But it can be very depressing if you don't set your life up about 2-3 years before you about to retire, because the door is not easily open no more once you leave. When you're in, the door is open. When you leave, they put a couple more locks and pads on the door. You can't easily walk in there. So you gotta get your life ready before you retire. Me, I didn't win no championships. I think I had a great solid career. But some guys are just, it's a blessing that they are. Some guys just somehow get right in because of their connection. They build bridges. They built relationships when they was in the league. Mm-hmm. They was able to get taken care. I was a loner. I really, stayed to myself.
Wrapping up right now with former college basketball great out of Georgia Tech, Kenny Anderson, one of the coldest, I told him earlier, one of the 3 coldest college point guards that I've ever seen in my lifetime. I'm 38 years old, so in my lifetime, it's what it was. He's a second overall pick for the New Jersey Nets. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, or kids, the New Jersey Nets. They were in Jersey before Brooklyn. In 1991, had a nice 15-year career in the league. He's in the New York City Basketball Hall of Fame. You can find him on Twitter and Instagram at CHIBBS_1. You can check out his website. We'll talk about that here in just a second, Chibs.com. And his brand new documentary, soon to be released, Mr. Chibs, directed by one Jill Campbell. Point guards, Steph Curry, is he the best player in the NBA right now?
Yeah, he's the best player in the NBA. Pound for pound, he's the best player in the NBA. My favorite player is LeBron James. I love him. But sometimes you just got to edge. He's the best player. His team is 22-0. He's doing it with and you know what makes him so special? And I think that's what makes, little like guys like my size special, where these kids got hope outside now. These kids in the inner city that playing ball at 6'2", 180 pounds. Like, yo, this guy, he's doing it.
Yeah.
I can be that guy. I'm not going to grow to 6'6" or 7 feet tall. So he's giving guys hope out there. And he's playing with so much flair and charisma, and he's entertaining. He's a great shooter, but more effectively is his ball handling. So he can get anywhere on the court because he's with his ball handling. Basketball IQ is off the charts. And he's a great kid. It was amazing because I played with his father in Charlotte, and he was the ball boy. I remember him being the ball boy. And now I see this guy grown into maybe he's on his way probably to a 2-time MVP and maybe another championship. So he's a great guy. He's a great kid.
Now, you're a dude that had that ball on the string too, man. Now, when you see this dude, does he amaze you? A dude that can do what you did, does he even amaze you?
Yeah, he amazes me because he can shoot. I can't shoot. I couldn't shoot that far like him, and I was a streaky shooter, mid-range game. He can shoot, but he does it, man. He's amazing. He's amazing. I can't believe it. Like when he shoot, I think every shot gonna go in. When he miss, I'll be like,
right.
I'll be like, yo,
you surprised?
Yeah. When he get into his rhythm, it's over. And then they got Klay Thompson, Draymond Green. And they got the small ball down to a science.
Yeah.
Like the way they play is like, man, I'll pay to go see them play. It's exciting.
Absolutely, he's must see TV. One more question about this kid, because you're a basketball historian, man. I've seen you sitting down with Nate Archibald, guys like that.
Yeah.
Have you seen another guy play the way, like a guy who can handle the ball and, as you mentioned, can still get his shot off anywhere he wants to and can shoot it from so damn deep?
You know who he is, and I didn't see him, but I saw some tape. He's Pete Maravich.
I've heard that. I've heard that too.
That's who he is. That's who he is. And I don't. And that's who he is, probably. It's because the way he handles, he got the ball on the string, and like I always tell him, you make guys, the defenders is his puppet, like they puppet.
Right.
He's in control, and that's how you got to handle when the defender is like a puppet.
Let me throw a name at you, a name that I mentioned earlier, a guy who got it done off the dribble with a nice shot, Chris Jackson. Do you see any similarities there?
Yeah, a little bit, but he was smaller. He was more like a scorer, though.
Yeah.
Chris Jackson more like a scorer. Which is Steph Curry, but Steph Curry passed the ball, I think, a little better than he, a little bit taller. I had the fortune to play against Chris Jackson. We beat him in the tournament.
Mm-hmm.
Georgia Tech, we beat LSU, but he got the jumper. The jumper's not, he's close to it. But I think Stephen Curry had your mouth.
Tell me about Chibs.com. Tell me about your website, man.
Oh, man, MrChibs.com. You can follow me, everything. Go on there. We got different style beanies. We have water bottles. We're going to come. The T-shirts are coming. The hoodies. Think about putting some shorts on it. Like, all my product, man. The Mr. Chibs documentary, Kenny Anderson stuff is coming. So, and if you want to keep up with the doc when it's coming out, all you got to do is from time to time just hit on MrChibs.com, and we'll keep you posted. When the documentary is coming out and everything that I'm doing, you know what I mean? And that's big, man. So I'm really excited about my documentary, my story. I want to thank Jill Campbell's a hell of a director, Skyscraper Film, Mike and John, my guy Jay Bernetti brought it all together. He connected me with Skyscraper Film. And we signed Jill to do the project. And then Barry Goldstein is like my guy, man. He's a big-time investor. I love him. And the family that I got right now is they all in my corner. So I think the project is going to be awesome.
It's a beautiful thing. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, he is former college basketball great out of Georgia Tech, Kenny Anderson. He's the second overall pick in 1991 by the New Jersey Nets. Had a 15-year career, All-Star appearance in 1994. He's in the New York City Basketball Hall of Fame. Make sure you check him out. Follow him, just like I do, on Twitter and Instagram at Chibbs, CHIBBS_1. Make sure you cop some of those beanies and water bottles, and when those hoodies get, I'm gonna get me a skull cap, dog. A Mr. Chibbs skull cap.
Yo, they nice, man. That's gonna be like, that's a history thing to keep forever, man.
Absolutely.
It's gonna be nice.
Absolutely. And
that's not gonna be it.
Make sure you stay up on the documentary as well. Mr. Chibbs, CHIBBS, directed by Jill Scott. I'm looking forward to it, and you guys should too. Kenny, appreciate you taking the time out. It's an honor, my man, and I appreciate you taking the time out to talk to me. And good luck to you going forward, my man.
All right, thank you.